इसमें से जरा हमारा वो निकाल दो, ब्रोशर्स फाइल खोल दो। हो गया, स्टार्ट। हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम आपको पढ़ाएंगे पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल। लाइक दोनों जला दो, इस वीडियो थोड़ा साफ बने और तुम ज्वाइन करके देखो कि अच्छा आ रहा है कैसा है। हेलो स्टूडेंट, आज हम पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल की क्लास आपके लेते हैं और इसमें बात करते हैं कि इसमें क्या क्या जरूरी चीज़ें हैं जिसको हम पढ़ते हैं और हमें पढ़ना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट मैक्सिमम सिलेक्शंस, पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल, पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल जो है ये सब्जेक्ट में वेरी पॉपुलर सब्जेक्ट। पोल साइंस ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट इज द वेरी पॉपुलर सब्जेक्ट इन UPSC एग्जाम. Why reason of pole science optional subject is very popular subject in UPSC exam? Number 8, two paper means exam है, means exam is two paper. Paper first, political theory and Indian government and politics. Indian government and politics. Paper 2, comparative politics and international relations. International relations. But paper 1 is divided by two parts. Total pole science optional subject marks 500 marks. Paper 1 250 marks. And paper 2 in 250 marks. But paper first is divided by two parts, A and B part. A part political theory and B part Indian government and politics. Indian government and politics. Paper 2 divided by two parts. A part comparative politics. B part comparative politics and international relations. But B part India and world. B part India and world. Pole science optional subject is very easy subject, very popular subject, maximum marks oriented subject. Without pole science, no qualifying this exam. Pre or mains is very difficult. Maximum scoring of the subject. Maximum scoring of subject in pole science optional. Pole science optional is the maximum scoring subject. My point of view, pole science optional is very interested. Why reason? Indian government, Indian politics, Indian administration, and other part of India related topics. तो पोल साइंस का फर्स्ट टॉपिक लेक्चर बेसिस all the subject of political main syllabus and political Indian politics. Politicals, political theory and Indian politics. Indian politics. Indian politics syllabus discussions. Syllabus. Indian politics syllabus discussions. Syllabus discussions. First, a political theory and approach. Political theory and approach. Political theory and approach. What is political theory? What is political theory? My questions: what is political theory? What is political theory? Political theory depends to three parts. Theory is the scientific nature. First, theory is the scientific nature. First, regular. Number two, regular process. Regular process. Number three, first scientific nature. Second, regular process. Third, result oriented. Result oriented. Just like example for physics, chemistry. Third, biology, related to part of theory. Biology related to part of theory. But whole science is equal to, but political science is equal to political theory plus thought is equal to political theory plus thought. होल साइंस में theory भी है और thought भी है. Thought related to thought related to ideology. Introductions of political theory and thought. But pole science is equal to political theory plus thought. But pole science, the nature of pole science. Next topic, the nature of pole science. Pole science का nature क्या है? Nature of pole science. Nature of pole science. Nature of pole science. First, pole science is a history. Number 8. Number 2, pole science is a philosophy. Number 2. Number 3, pole science is a science. Pole science is a science. Pole science nature is the three: philosophy, science, and other. Pole science nature of the three. Pole science हिस्ट्री भी है, पोल साइंस फिलॉसफी भी है, पोल साइंस साइंस भी है. But maximum proportionate ratio in the pole science 60% in history, 20% in philosophy, and 20% in science, and total 100%. So maximum pole science part of history. History is the major topics related to pole science. History of the developed topic related to the pole science. History is the major portions covered to the pole science. मैक्सिमम 40% वो साइंस यहाँ रेशियो चेंज कर लेते हैं 30% साइंस एंड 30% फिलॉसफी एंड 40% पोल साइंस रिलेटेड टू हिस्ट्री तो 40% पोल साइंस का रिलेशन हिस्ट्री से 30% फिलॉसफी से 30% साइंस से तो पोल साइंस बाय नेचर फिलॉसफी हिस्ट्री एंड फिलॉसफी हिस्ट्री एंड क्या होगा philosophy, history, and science. Depending the political, what is theory and thought. अब इस पे कुछ कंटेंट पे हम बात करेंगे कि अब क्या क्या इसमें आएगा. Suppose then the area is political thing work attend to the realm politics, political life, citizen life, and political behavior. नंबर एक पॉइंट. दूसरा क्या इसमें डिपेंड करेगा. मेथड इज पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी अडॉप्ट इंक्लूड डिस्क्रिप्शंस पे हम बात करेंगे. अकॉर्डिंग इंक्लूड डिस्क्रिप्शंस इस पे होगी बात. फिर अगर द मेथड ऑफ पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी अडॉप्ट इंक्लूड डिस्क्रिप्शंस. थर्ड पॉइंट थ्रू पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी इज ऑल अबाउट व्हाट इज द पॉलिटिकल एट इट. इस पर भी हम देखेंगे. साइकोलॉजिकल, इकोलॉजिकल, मोरल. The objective which political theory seek to achieve in build good state, good society, and is the process, create of the process in the related to political theory. As the body of thought, political theory attempt to explain, evaluate the predict political phenomena of the process, just like rule, human conduct, and other relations. Political theory is both prescriptive and explanatory. पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी में ज़्यादातर लोग एक्सप्लेनेटरी पे ज़्यादा जोर देते हैं. कंटेक्ट ऑफ पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट रियल पॉलिटिकल एंड व्हाट इन नॉन पॉलिटिकल. इंटीग्रेट द कोऑर्डिनेट ऑफ रिजल्ट न्यूमरस सोशल साइंस knowing for own nature its scope is not limited to what is the constitute but what exit the periphery of beyond are the political science. Suggesting that the talks of defining what is the politicals continuous, continuous ones, Sheldon, Bolin, Politics and Vision, 1960, include the following in the content of political theory. Number 8. First point, a form of activity centering around the quest or competitive advantage between group, individual, or societies. Second, a form of activity conditioned by fact that it occurs within a situation of changes and relative scarcity. Next, a form of activity in which the pursuit of advantage produced consequences of such magnitude and that affect in a significant way the whole society or substantial portion of it related to पोल साइंस. तो ये सारी चीज़ें इंक्लूड आप पोल साइंस. अब अगर आगे इस पर नेक्स्ट पे बात करेंगे पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी मीनिंग एंड अप्रोच. डिवाइड बाय थ्री पार्ट. पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी हिस्ट्री, पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी एज ए फिलॉसफी, पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी एज ए साइंस. To know clearly the political theory, real is known to nature. Political theory is set to the political thought, and that is why there are some of descriptive political theory are denoting the work of numerous thinkers. But it's not what political thought is. There are other who equate political theory with political philosophy. It is true that political theory constitutes the part of political philosophy, but it's not only a part of, can never be whole, and as part it remain only a part the whole. There are still other who after incorporating science in politics prefer to call the political science, but those who insist in the science of politics refuse to admit of their ever had been history politics or culture of politics, Brechet therefore would say political philosophy, political theory, and political science are no longer interchangeable terms, with the emphasis placed on science and a distinction from political philosophy, political science, now referred to effort limited by use to science of method, in contrast to political philosophy, which is free to transcend this limit. Likewise, political theory when opposed to political philosophy, now it usually mean to refer scientific theory. Only distinction from political philosophy. Any speculation thesis proposed by political philosophy can be the part of scientific political theory, only a working hypothesis and an auxiliary in the scientific kit and not yet piece of science of knowledge. Political theory is a history. Political theory is a history in the limited sense. In the limited sense. It is not a philosophy, but its philosophy is some degree. It is not all science, but its science in so far responds to reason. A political theorist has to be the part of historian, a part of philosophy, the part of science. Political theory of a history. Political theory is a history in the sense that it seeks to understand the time, the place, and circumstances in which it evolves. If it ignores a historical context, it loses the strength, it focuses and its messages. Any political theory has to have fact as the basis. The factual history factor and Sabine would say circumstances in which it develops, the casual factor as Sabine described it, and the message political theory, the valorization factor, Sabine would insist political theory is not merely or only history, the statement of fact which it work and has worked is past history. It is the science is so far as it is not understood in isolation, and also a philosophy in so far as it motivates. Political theory as philosophy. Political theory is a philosophy, for it is not only seek to know the nature of things, but also attempt to explain as to why things really exist. One understandable an action throughout only by evaluating it evaluations in the part of understanding. Philosophy as distinct from theory is quest wisdom. Stress hold to view, quest for other, quest for other. Inversion knowledge. So, knowledge of whole political theory as a philosophy is attempt truly to know both the nature of political things and the right or the good political order stresses politics not part one argues an opinion. In fact, a political theorist is expected to possess more than assumptions or an opinion. He has to have knowledge, philosoph- philosophical emergences, his opinion. Assumption attain the heights of knowledge. And that is what exactly in the talks of political theory. Political theory as a philosophy is an attempt to replace opinion, assumptions about the nature of political things by knowledge of nature of political things stresses. This is clear that political theory as a science there are limit of social sciences. In contrast, the rule of games that of exact science do not change with time. The law of physics, for instance, can be assumed to pertain to all situations, all in time, part to present and future, but is not to true social science, the nature of economic and the political age, Colin Sage, different after Keynes and Marx. In a way, the physical and the natural is not after Newton and in Einstein. We must remember that social structure, unlike natural structure, do not exist independently of the activities they govern. Social stresses, unlike the natural structures, do not exist independently of the agent of conception, what they are doing to their activity. Social structure, unlike natural structure, may be only relatively enduring. C.R. Vosker, The Limit of Naturalism, 1779, this where the social science are different from the natural science, the limit of political theory as work out with the ethics of political analysis, political theory, growth and evolutions. Point number one, classical political theory, modern political theory, and contemporary political theory. The growth and evolution of political theory can be elaborated in three major streams. There are classical political theory, modern political theory, contemporary political theory. The classification of political theory into classical, modern, contemporary, immediate, thematic. What divides the classical or the traditional from the modern is the element of science, is the latter, and its absence. In the former philosophy, dominate the classical traditions of political theory, whereas science and its methodology dominate the modernist as an exception. There may be an Aristotle and a Thomas in the ancient and the medieval period of best who might have emphasized the science element while discovering the law of public life. These may be a stress in our time, who might see the utility of grasping the study of politics. Likewise, modern political theory and contemporary political theory was somewhat different, at least in their essence. Modern political theory is empirical, scientific, whereas contemporary political theory is philosophical, historical. Contemporary political theory attempt to synthesize the essence of both classical and modern political theory. Example for classical theory emerged in the ancient Greek culture in the writing and Socrates, Plato and Aristotle and continued until the beginning of 19th century. The classical paradigm, according to Sheldon, only relating to political theory, consists of following. First, classical political theory aims at acquiring reliable knowledge about the matter concerning the people. Philosophical pursuit to establish the rational basis to believe. Politically inspired pursuit to establish a rational basis for action. Second, to start to identify political with public and common the Greek polis, Roman era, publica, and the medieval age. Uses of common will, all the denoted sharing of what was common along the people as the partner. Second, its basic unit of analysis was always the political whole. The body of politic interrelated structure denoted activity, relationship, and belief activity relating to ruler, welfare, education, religious practices, relationship involving those between social classes, between the rulers and the ruled, between the superior and the inferior, beliefs such justice, equality, natural law, and like this. Next, relating to itself to political law, the classical political theory laid emphasis on order, balance, equilibrium, stability, and harmony. That is why it is the process, debate, on terms as conflict, anarchy, instability, and revolution. Classical political theory laid stress of comparative studies for supplying a more comprehensive explanation of political phenomenon and a wider range of alternative. That was the reason that classical political theory developed in classification of political for monarchy, aristocracy, democracy, and the variant, and set of concepts such as law, citizenship, justice, and participation, so as to explain, differentiate, similar between them. Classical political theory have been largely ethical perspective. Its response were rooted to moral outlook. Plato advocated the article state, Aristotle that that is cheap, best possible. Augustine, the city of God. Classical political theory outlook the appraises various constitutional forms, determine the form of most suitable, particular set of circumstances, and the decide in any absolute best the possible. Next, classical political theory by projecting the best form of polity as the ideal, relevant, the boldness, radical, and classical theorists though dismiss such an attempt are merely utopian and visionary. Modern political theory, modern political theory, beginning with the liberal stance from the 15th century, 16th century, in later experience itself, institution, positiveness, empirical behavior, post-behavioral trend, dubbed the whole classical tradition and the advocate from Marians and the key to Dahel Classwell of Eastern, South to lay, state of present rather than the past, living rather than the dull, the immediate rather than remote, the objective rather than subjective, the analytic rather than the philosophic, explanatory rather than descriptive, process oriented rather than the purpose oriented, the scientific rather than theoretical modern political theory within Western liberal democratic set attempt to the build science and politics, object, empirical and observable, measurable, operationable, value-free feature can be summed up and under. Fact and data constitute the basis of study. These are accumulated, explain them, used for testing of hypotheses. Human behavior can studies and regularities of human behavior can be expressed in generalizations. Subjectively gives to way of objectivity, philosophy, interpretations, to analytical explanations, purpose to procedures, descriptive to observational, normative, and scientific. Next, fact value separated value are so arranged that the fact became the relevant. Next, methodology has to self-conscious, explicit, and quantitative. Next, interdisciplinary synthesis is to be achieved. What is the regarded as more important than either? What is was the, what is ought to be, could be. Values of support, fact, substance to learn, and theory of research, status, quo, and social. Just contemporary political theory highlight the character of feature. Contemporary political theory, David Held, refer to the following. First point, contemporary political theory has been viewed as the history of political thought involving an attempt to examine the significance of text in their historical context. It has sought to revitalize discipline as a form of conceptual analysis, and in the process, finding political theory as a systematic reflection upon the classification of the meaning, the key form of accept sovereignty, democracy, justice, and alike. It has the developed as systematic elaboration of underlying structure of our moral political activity, the disclosure of examination, reconstruction of fundamentation of political value. It has been revitalized from arguments concerned with abstract theoretical questions and particular politics issues. It has been championed as a critic of all forms, foundationalism and other the postmodernism of liberal defender, according to present itself simultaneous dialogue and cooperation among two human beings. It has evolved from systematic model building influenced by theoretical, economic, rational choice, day game theory, aimed to construct formal modernist of political process. It has developed a theoretical enterprise of the discipline of political science. As such, the attempt to construct theory on the basis of observation and modest empirical generation. Contemporary political theory is mainly concerned with explanation, investigation, and ultimately with the comprehension of what relate to politics. Concept the principle of institution, when very political argument in 1965 says the political theory attempt to study the relation between principle and institution. John Rawls, theory of justice, think the political theory can seek truck alongside scientific empirical method. Robert Nozick, Anarchy, State and Utopia 1974, believed that contemporary political theory can solve many can solve many political problems by combining the classical ends, empirical means, consists the example, John Plate's Democracy Illusions 1975. Empirical analysis of reflection of logical, moral character can coexist in political theory. By study of political theory, there are definite talks of political theory as a science. It has a David Held explained the following function. To identify the significance of political variable, describe their mutual relation to ensure that analytical scheme is essential. This would render research meaningful, arrange text, leading generalization. Second, the exit and wide acceptance consensus by worker in the field theoretical framework could enable the result of various researches to be compared. It would be help verification of conclusions. Down up earlier researchers may also reveal the area research which require empirical work. Finally, the existence of theoretical framework as least relatively consist body of concept making research more reliable. As a philosophy political theory has to go beyond science. It has to study as a science phenomenon. But a philosophy it has to understand the phenomena. It has to study as the part of together with the whole. Its study is not confined to knowing clearly the present, but it has to extend the area to know as so far what the exit area to know and to part of exit. According to political theory, has to rise above the study of status quo. It has to go beyond the present, deep into the realm of future. Next, significance of political theory. Significance of political theory. Significance of political theory has been under the cloud by scholar, mostly the behavioralist scholar John Claswell, essay entitled Essay of Political Theory does not agree as a put political philosophy, meaning is that I have heard kill to logical positive and the successful who have many problems which exercise the great political thinker of the past were superiors, resting confusion of science and misuse of language. According to him, political theory has to issue make the started of under political theory the serious, difficult, and tactual activity, the need to kind of exercise in modern time, in indeed much get greater. The study of value, norm, and goal through it does not produce the same kind of knowledge to emotional political theory does. This is the study theory which have the historically powerfully influenced images of themselves and of society profoundly determine their social and political behavior. It has the element of socially conditions ideology this ideology may be illusion, at unleashed. Had this illusion, the curse of social development would not have been what is, and it produced a coherent system of political principles which can guide, appreciate political action. It political theorists, as the prism say, do not honest speaker display of large variety of goods, describing them of accurately and leaving to it custom to choose what please him most. They produce in hierarchy of principle and try to explain how men should use them to make the choices. They are not mere the paperwares ideas. They are the procedure and they are propagandist. Political theory aims to comprehending the world in the comes. It being tries to identify its silent character to understand its crisis to assert the capacity to resolve that crisis. Political theory contribute to capacity of man understand himself and after himself his polity and his history. It exhort of man to command of his own common affair, in short, to explain, illuminate, understand, evaluates, enlightens, and alters. This is ended in this topic in first chapter. In topic in the first chapter of next video in related to political science. हेलो भैया, भैया